Boy, that truck is almost underwater, Sandra.
Yeah, it will
Look
be.
at that.
Well, I want to make one quick point. So don't go on the street. Yeah, but where are you going to go? Your home's probably flooded. So I think
take something sharp up. Don't get stuck in the attic.
Well, I think what you're seeing here, I hope, is that people just reached the point of desperation and said, we have nowhere to go. But it goes back to, why didn't people leave to begin with? Houstonians know the scale of the land. They know that it's slate. They know that they have no runoff. They know that they're at sea level. And yet we're still
they've
watching.
Never seen this.
Well, let me tell you, as I said, it doesn't take a lot of rain in Houston, Texas for you to flood.
1 inch. Well, there were reports of 1 inch of rain could flood Houston. I think, Janice, you were saying this as well. But, Janice, it's really hard to predict exactly where a hurricane will fall. I mean, they thought the Corpus Christi would be the eye of that storm. It moved a little bit from there. But that's why I think residents, it's hard to really know or have a good sense a few days before it's coming of where exactly it's going to land.
When did they know that Houston, I mean, I know we were on the air Saturday night when they had their first death in Houston. A woman caught in a car. The mayor came on. He did his news conference. And it was like staccato after that it got worse, Janice. When did they know?
Well, we were tracking this storm. This was a storm that came off the coast of Africa. So it was a classic Cape Verde storm. But the models had it moving over the Yucatan, which it did. And I'm sorry, ladies, they just switched my IFB over to Shep's show.
All right.
It's all right.
Well,
Okay. Janice, that's okay.
I'd like to say one thing about that.
Janice.
Is that, knowing, I think it's more of a sense of the desperation of people that are saying, maybe they just got their careers back and they're going, look, we can't leave. You guys talked about. Yeah, you talked about, $500 being the difference between, paying bills and not paying bills for some of these folks that are now displaced. And I can only imagine, getting that forecast and making that debate with your family of do we stay or do we go. And
well, originally the Houston mayor didn't necessarily advocate that they leave.
Well,
there was a sense it might be, yes, shame on him, it might be okay. But the one thing I would point out is that you're not looking at a death toll such as we saw in Katrina. I mean, you think about the lower Ninth Ward there and all the people that stayed that should have left, that wound up losing their lives. Thus far, we're not looking at anything as catastrophic as that, which I think is very good. I mean, it shows that even though some are stranded, for the most part, we're seeing people that have been rescued. We're seeing people that are getting to shelters
it could have been a lot worse.
In a way that, yes, was not as bad as what we saw in Katrina.
Yeah, but
so that's good news.
And New Orleans is in a bowl, and of course they were relying on their levee system and as well as the pumps that didn't work. But Houston has the same problem, except it's at sea level and they're relying on a drainage system that doesn't exist. And when you say a hurricane is barreling towards you, you've got to make it, it's a go, no-go decision. And I think many people just decide, you know what, the same thing happened with Katrina. We'll bear it out. And
yeah, and they did, actually. And so I think Janice Dean is back with us. Janice, it is like that. You warned everybody the back side of the storm would be the worst part, but when it comes over your house and it's not raining and everything looks like it's going to be okay, even when the officials are telling people to leave, it's hard. In Houston, they had then the layering effect of they'd never had that reservoir overflow. They didn't think they needed to tell 5 million people to get out of the way. And Janice?
Well, just know this. When we track these storms, we usually have 5 to 7 days to prepare. We did for Katrina. And we knew it was going to be a hurricane, and we knew it was going to make landfall in and around the Louisiana coastline, Mississippi. With this storm, it went across the Yucatan, it fell apart, then went into the Bay of Campeche, and exploded. And that's when we knew it was originally supposed to go into Mexico. And it was Wednesday of last week when we were like, okay, this is going to make a right-hand turn and it's going to go up towards the coast of Texas. We didn't know it was going to be a Cat 4. The intensity is really hard to forecast, but we knew it was going to be an epic rainfall maker. So that's when we started to alert people, hey, we need to watch this. This was last Wednesday. And then we started to get on TV and radio and start to warn people, hey, this is a hurricane. It's going to make landfall, but don't turn off your sets. The big story is going to be the epic flooding afterwards. So the challenge we had is we didn't have enough time, I fear, to warn people. And I know that there's the discussion about the mayor and whether the mayor did the right thing. There wasn't enough time to evacuate. We would have had thousands of cars on the roadways trying to evacuate. And when you think about Rita In 2005, they had people die in their cars trying to evacuate.
107 people died during the evacuation.
That would have been an epic disaster. And so I am in the corner of the mayor right now. They could not have evacuated 7 million people.
He actually said it would have been catastrophic, and they still stand by and defend that decision.
Look at that, Sandra. That's we're looking at visuals of Rockport, Texas. That is where the eye of the storm
they took it dead on.
hit. I mean, they aren't seeing the flooding, but you look at the destruction in these homes and people that did evacuate, because this is the part of Texas they were warned, and many of them did flee. They
and
have
it was
to go
mandatory.
Mandatory. They have to go back to this in the coming days and see what is left of their home and their belongings. I mean, it's really just so hard to see these images.
And you know, we're seeing them on TV, and the president and the first lady are now down there on the ground, and we'll see these firsthand. And
is this live?
It is amazing when you do get on the ground and actually see the destruction during things like this. And this is obviously unprecedented, but I did want, let's listen. This is live.